So I went to the doctor a week before, and he said that I was only a centimeter dilated. There's no way we're having the baby this weekend. And then when we went to the hospital,
she turned to me and said, "It's time." All right. Well, it's our first video in a while. We are back home. It's officially been a week since the big news. Kendall, can you show us your little parent dance?
Yeah.
Your little parent dance.
Now I'm still dancing with 2 left feet, yeah. But with a little help, I can move on beat. Now I can moonwalk in 2 socks and...
Tell us about the week leading up to the birth of our now daughter.
So really nothing happened the week before everything happened. I honestly wasn't sure that we were going to have the baby on the due date. I had a feeling that we would.
There's a fly, sorry.
But I had no idea because nothing was really happening. I was tired, no contractions. My body was feeling pretty good. So like, yeah, nothing happened out of the ordinary.
You look like a warrior. Like you're just ready for the baby to come. How did you feel going into like the night that we like found out like, uh-oh, it might be time to go to the hospital?
So actually a week before I thought my water had broke, and so I was really, when we decided to go to the hospital, I was just like, there's no way. Like I feel like we're gonna come back home after the hospital with no baby. And so I was just chilling, you know. It's like they're gonna check me and then I'm gonna come back home and try really hard to sleep. And yeah, so that's kind of where my head was at when we were like leaving to go to the hospital.
Yeah. And I was a little bit worried because I don't really know how I am with body stuff. Mm-hmm. Like hearing people's like surgeries or seeing pictures, it always just makes my skin crawl. So I know that my dad, it sounded like he thought I'd be a wimp. I think it sounds like he was a wimp. So I just knew I had to do better than that. So do you want to tell us the story of how it happened?
Yeah. So I went to the doctor a week before, and he said that I was only a centimeter dilated. And so that was a little disheartening. I was like, there's no way we're having the baby this weekend. And then when we went to the hospital, because my contractions were consistently 5 minutes apart, they were getting really, really intense. Like I couldn't sleep, couldn't really do anything because they were already starting to feel really intense.
She turned to me and said, "It's time."
And so we went to the hospital and they checked me. I was 3 centimeters dilated, so still had a long way to go. But everyone was pretty confident that we were going to have the baby within the 24 hours.
Straight up not having a good time, huh? Looks like you're having a blast. Squeezing my hand. Yeah. So tired. Just starting, but already so happy. So they checked us in.
Oh yeah, they checked us in, and
we basically just played the waiting game.
Mm-hmm.
Contractions got shorter and shorter. Kendall didn't want to get
an epidural
originally, but we decided to.
Mm-hmm.
Funny story about the epidural. I was holding her hand when she was getting it, and I hadn't been eating like that well the day before, and her hands were like very hot that I started to sweat. This is like 3 a.m. I started to sweat. I got a little bit lightheaded. I'm like, am I really like, I thought I was going to be better than this, but I can't even see the doctor putting the needle in her. I'm just holding her hands. I'm like, am I really like this weak when it comes to medical stuff? And I had to hand her off to the nurse and go sit out. But this made me feel better. The nurse had to also hand Kendall's hands off to another nurse because she started to sweat because Kendall's hands were so hot as well. Mm-hmm. But we just played the waiting game.
After they gave me the epidural, I started to feel loads better. I got to sleep for a little while. Was feeling really good, couldn't feel really anything. So that to me was a good sign that things were good. And then as hours went by, nothing was really happening. She was slowly coming, nothing super crazy. She would like be a little bit closer, like a centimeter within a couple of hours, but that was it. So I was starting to feel really like disheartened because we really wanted to meet her that day. And so they gave me some Pitocin, and that like helped a little bit, but didn't really help as much as we wanted it to. My water still hadn't broke at this point. And so we just waited and waited and waited until they decided to break my water. Everything changed after that really, really quickly. After they broke my water, they left me for like almost an hour. And when they came to check on me, she was right there. That's literally what they said. She's like, "Oh, she's right there. It's time to get going." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Again, couldn't really feel anything, so I didn't know. And so they got us ready, and 20 minutes later, she was born.
Yep, 20 minutes later, Eliana Lynn Unland was born into this world. My side, when it came time to give birth, I helped out a little bit. No issues because I had a snack. I was well hydrated. Didn't even feel like uncomfortable, need to crawl out of my skin or anything like that. So I helped out a little bit. The doctor asked if I wanted to cut the umbilical cord. I was like, no way. That sounds disgusting. What if I do it wrong? I mean, it wasn't a ton of pressure, but I didn't mind not doing it. So, but when it was time, the doctor just gave me the scissors and pointed, and I just, which my family gives me a hard time about telling that story, but snip, snip, boys. Yep, so now our daughter Eliana is officially a part of the Unland crew in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Now for the next 18 years plus, forever, but just 18 that she's in our house, hopefully. But if she needs to stay longer, it's okay. All right, anything else?
No.
No, that's it for you?
Yep.
All right, good job.